nothing is impossible. Nothing. Everything can be done. Everything. If you start from there, it's easier. If you believe it, like you genuinely have to believe it. Like, because if I would have said, I'm going to live on the other side of the world, and I need 3 planes and all that, and obviously I would have stopped there. It's just too difficult. Like, no, what are my choices? This, and this. This is the best because of X, Y, Z. Great. Fantastic. Don't think of it. Yes, I got to be in 3 planes, but that's part of the process. But I think believing is what we're lacking of a lot. Believing that you can do it. How can you get there? Each step you think, you're like, I'm here. Who's doing the best? Pick. Bring it together and don't do what everyone else is doing. Just don't do that. That's the worst you can do.
Are you curious about how to spend your life doing what you were born to do? The things that truly light you up and come naturally to you? Well, you're listening to the right podcast. I'm Joseph Bobadilla, and I'm a creative business owner running a content creation agency. On the From the Inside Out podcast, we'll meet and interview high performers from all walks of life. If they've got a great story of how they've built something or are simply thriving, doing what comes from the God-given dreams, talents, and gifts that are inside of them, that's who we're going to talk to. So together, let's find out what it takes and the rewards of building your life from the inside out.
So you were just saying, you basically wake up in the morning and just go.
Yeah, man.
Non-stop.
It's, I remember earlier, I think it would have been like 5-10 years ago, it was annoying to be in my mind because it was, if I'm going to bed, I would just be thinking. And I'm like, no, blank. Put your mind at blank. I'm like, yeah, blank. Blank, it's white in Spanish. I saw a car who was white today. Oh yeah, my friend. And it just, it would be 3 hours me doing that. And I just didn't go to bed. I'm like, crap. So now, obviously it's different now, but yeah, it's from 7 to 11 is the time of power. And and that's how I kind of put my whole day is if I need my mind, 7 to 11, then the rest is like answering emails, mundane stuff.
So that's 7 to 11 a.m. or p.m.?
A.m. Yeah.
Right.
AM. I get my second win probably at 5-ish.
Well, pretty similar.
Yeah.
My peak energy is 7 to 11 as well.
Yeah, that's.
And then I've got a pretty bad 2 to 4.
Oh man, yeah. And I remember I've worked for some crappy dudes. One of them, I remember us telling him, dude, I want to give you more as much as I can because I felt terrible because from 2, maybe 3 p.m. my mind just went down and my productivity dropped. I'm like, I'm trying to play Sudoku to try and get my mind shortcut it to get excited about something and then boom, go back to work. And it's like, you play your game in your own time. I'm like, okay. I'm trying to give you more. Yeah. I've tried to, I walk around just to get like a 2-3, just walk, get that energy going. And if I really need to.
You don't drink coffee or?
I do just once a day. That's it.
Oh, good. That's healthy.
Yeah. Just once in the morning. That's it.
But no, awesome. Thanks for coming.
That's right, man.
And spending right now that people don't know, but we're on 11 o'clock. So we've just passed your hour of power or your 4 hours.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. So I'm passionate.
Thanks so much, Pedro.
Oh, good, man.
No, thank you. For the people who don't know who you are, so we've met each other through business circles.
Yeah, correct.
And you own your own financial planning company.
Correct. Yes.
Called Marin Wealth.
Perfect.
And it's kicked off this year and doing pretty well.
Yeah, man. It's difficult to put a dream. I don't know. It's always been me when I'm on the goal, like I just achieved it. I'm like, okay, great. I'm looking at 3 more in front of me. And I never actually stop. Like, this is great. You won it. Never. I've never actually even just a pat in the back. You've done well. This is great. Not really. But yeah, I'm here. And I look back, there's no one who speaks Spanish in Brisbane at this level. I'm like, great. But I don't stop. I need to stop. And sometimes I'm going, man, you've done great. You've done well. Stop. I don't know.
I feel that. But I mean, from me to you, well done.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. It's just anyone can do it, man. It's not impossible. It's just have big cojones and
and I think we're going to hear a lot about that today.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, I mentioned to you off air that each guest will ask somebody they don't even know who it is a question.
That's awesome.
And it was pretty deep what Blake had asked you.
Yeah.
And his question was, who's one person you feel like you need to forgive to move on?
Man, that's such a great question. Because I think it'll have to be my dad. I'm pretty sure it'll have to be my dad.
Yeah, wow.
So my mom and my dad split when I was 1. And usually spent weekends with my dad, but that was it. And over the years, you're like, and never developed anything. Like he was a great person. But I've always been like, man, I have to learn how to shape myself. Like just even like trying to figure out how to date. Because you don't have a dude trying to tell you like, which I will, it's all forgiven and I will forgive him. But I look at the positive side of it is like, it taught me how to think for myself rather than being taught how to do things. Because that's, for example, when I started my financial planning career, the first thing I went in, the day 1 of my job, the guy's like, I need this report. I need this, and this. I didn't know how to do it, man. I'm like, in my mind, of course, yeah, I'll do it. Putting a poker face, like, yeah, well done. What the hell does that mean? Like I remember just like Googling. He asked me for an SOA. SOA is his short version. It's called Statement of Advice.
Yeah.
What is that? So like,
that's so.
Yeah, I'll give you 2, man. Don't worry about it.
That reminds me. Do you watch The Office?
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
There's an episode where Jim is like asked by his new boss to give him a rundown, but he doesn't know what the rundown is. So the whole day is just, yeah, I'll get you that rundown. What's a rundown?
He's a rundown. Man, even my first day at a job in Australia was, I need that by COB. Of course.
Cobb.
Yeah, of course.
What's Cobb?
I'll get you 2. What the hell does COP mean? Close of business. Like, oh, okay, of course.
Oh, that's so funny.
I had no freaking idea.
You've come a long way, man.
Oh, dude, yeah. Because it's a second language, and I sometimes forget, like really, when I do presentations, and oh man, everyone who's bilingual can get almost to 100%, never 100%. You never be 100% fluent in that language, which sometimes happens, and I'm in front of 700 people. I'm like,
Well, I watched you speak at an event earlier this year, and you did a great job. So.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. But even when I remember that, I feel terrible. Sometimes I'm like, ASIC. I pronounce it ASIC. I'm like, ASIC. ASIC.
I feel like that's not really a...
Yeah, but I'm like, is it ASIC? ASIC? Because English has this whole weird, like, crap, it's ASIC, ASIC. I remember there's other words that I struggle. I can't even remember which. I'm like, oh crap, and I'm reading, I'm like, I got to say this word. How do I pronounce this stuff?
It's all good, man. If it gives you any peace about that, AI is pretty good at fixing your words these days. Not yours, everyonene's words.
True.
We've used it.
That's true, actually.
But that's a really cool story I want to get into, because you're bilingual, which means that you came from overseas.
Yeah.
So where were you born? What was your childhood like? What was that
man.
about?
How much time you got?
Oh, we've got time, man. We've got time.
It was wild, actually. It was pretty full on. Like the first memory I have, I used to live in the roughest areas you can think. Imagine, I can even give you the geo. Like if you Google a place, you can see where I lived. In front of, I used to live. There's 3 buildings. I live in one of them, level 7. I remember I can see it. I can see my home. I can even remember the phone number. This is what, 40 years ago or something. In front of my house, there was a huge favela. Let's see if anyone knows what favela is. Yeah. And for example, one time a bullet came flying straight into my house, like from the window into a wall. I remember like crawling to turn up the TV because there was a shooting outside, and I wish it was a lie, but it was actually. I remember my mom being at the end of, because that was where the bathroom was, is where we would like be there when the shooting outside, because a bullet once came in, and we didn't have money to pay electricity, so I had to like crawl to like just turn the TV off. So that was that. Then my mom, so because she split with my dad, I lived with her. And man, it was rough. It was pretty rough, but I never missed a meal, never missed like a school. It was always private schools, which is back home is different. Private and public is ridiculously different. Public is you're going down the hellhole. Like you can't break that change. And I'll give you an example later. But I was able to, obviously because of her, she started at a pharmaceutical company, and she was extremely bright, very smart person, built herself up all the way to probably been not probably she's the head of the natural department of that pharmaceutical. So if you're building up or creating drugs that are made from natural or just naturopaths, or she's the head of that. She used to travel a lot, and so she took us from that crap to less crap to less crap to a point that I'm like, okay, well, I can choose to leave the country, because she was able to support me and help me. I sold everything I owned, but I was always in private schools. And it was good. I met, and I think I tell this to my clients, where they ask me, what do I do with my child? Do I put it in private or public? I think you create your connections in high school.
Absolutely.
Like, high school is like your brothers and sisters, whereas primary, I don't remember anyone from there.
Yeah, exactly. And for those who don't know, where did you go?
Oh yeah, Caracas, Venezuela.
Wow.
So it's it was very difficult. This is why I know a lot about inflation. Man, there was one time, there was a couple of coups d'etat. So that means military trying to take the government out. There was a plane one time who got hit. You can Google this on YouTube. The plane almost hit my building and all the windows broke. And I thought, till this day, I can't sleep naked, because I remember I was sleeping. And all I can remember was waking up in the middle of the running through the stairs. I can't remember anything from bed to the stairs. And it was because my mom grabbed me, and we thought the plane would have hit our building, but it didn't. It just broke the sound barrier, and then the whole thing, like all the windows broke, but you couldn't differentiate that. And everyone went running down, and I was in my jocks outside with everyone in the building. And I was like, so till the day, not always full. You can ask any of my partners and being like, he's always like,
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, you're very well dressed today.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. And it's probably that. Like I'm always ready for danger. Like,
wow.
If it's gone, I'm dressed, let's go.
So would you say then that kind of the theme of your early years was just surviving?
Yeah, it 100%. And it's not just me, it's the environment. And I think that's what has helped me a lot. And it helps a lot of migrants in Australia, is that you're always plan A, B, and C, and everyone's trying to steal, kill, or kidnap you. Everyone. You do not trust a single soul. So I use that to my advantage here, is that I tell my clients, do not trust me if I call a message or anything. Don't trust me, because everyone's trying to steal from us. If you can prove that it's me, great. But if not, don't trust me.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was always in that environment where I grew. It was always competing for positions, competing everything. You need, like, just to consider, I'm gonna have a year off after school. No, because you'll be left behind. So you have to go straight to uni. You have to find a job immediately. Like, there was no break, and that was how we always prepared to compete, to get ahead, to think outside the box. So it was good, but sometimes it's like, man, I wish I could just chill for a minute, but I'm not wired like that. It's like always go, 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 go. I'll rest when I'm dead, and plenty of it.
Did you still have anything that maybe you dreamed about when you were younger? If you had that opportunity to think, oh, maybe one day I'd love to do this, or...
Yeah, I think I have no regrets at all, because I have an issue too. I try to take everything to the nth degree. If I do something, I want to do it until I can't, that's the end. So example A, I wanted to be a professional athlete. I got a scholarship at uni. So, and I was at the max I can take it. So futsal was what I was playing. I got the scholarships. I'm like, great, this is the max I'm going to get. Done. I got bored. I was playing video games.
Yeah.
I got paid to play video games. So that was the end. I remember Counter-Strike. This is in 2001. So I was like, I got to the end. I'm like, okay, well, I get bored now. So I always think that I don't have time. So if I do it now, do it as much as you can, as hard as you can, as best as you can. And once I get there, I'm like, okay, well, what's next? So I think there's never, I think if I wanted to go back and do something different, or what would I do? I think I've done everything. I don't know. I always do exactly what I wanted.
So you kind of went, I want to do this. You just did it.
You're correct. Yeah. So I always pivot on the problem. If there's a problem, for example, the problem back home was to survive. Like, man, this looks nasty. Like, I can't grow here. How do I pivot? Okay, well, I got to leave. I don't consider what's after that, because I think I've had problems, especially with partners, when I'm trying to explain to them, I don't need to see the whole stairway. It's like every single step for me to consider what's after that door. I just need that first step and maybe one or two, and as I'm going, I fill in the rest.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm like, I can pivot very quickly. That was back home. It was like, nah, I need to leave now, because if I continue to be here, I'm going to die. And literally, and it wasn't just me, it was everyone. Like, you get a gun pointed to your face. Like, I had it 4 times.
Wow.
And it was not, because I think what I had problems here is that most people need to see the whole thing planned in front of them before they move 1 feet, rather than move that first feet and then just trust me, you will not fall. Like, there's nothing underneath. There's always something, especially in Australia. You have so much, man, you have so many safety nets, like Centrelink, like people, like charities, like the water. You have, like, there's always something. So I think, man, it's, I look back into it and yeah, I haven't done anything I think I should reconsider, or what would I do differently? No, I'm exactly where I needed to be. It's just that everything has been thrown at me. It's just, I enjoy it. I love challenges.
So how did you then get to this point where you obviously moved to Australia? What was that like? Like, was there a season there of university? Or?
Yeah, so I came to Australia, and the first thing, I lived with a family for like 4 weeks so they can show me the ropes. Like, that's the bus, open your bank account here, or like, because that people consider that for granted, but I didn't know. I didn't know what phone to take. Like, what?
I remember because we filmed and you arrived at the airport, and you said you actually missed.
Yeah, the day. Yeah, correct. Because I forgot that you lose a day when you come back, or earn a day or something like that. Yeah. And then there was nobody there with my name, and I was like, crap. Okay, yeah. So luckily there was someone there, and that's why I enjoy Australian society, because it's willing to help. Not many people think like that, but I guarantee my whole experience has been, I'm not here talking to you by accident. My house got flooded in 2011. Government gave me $3,000, even though I wasn't a citizen. I was just a student. He's $3,000, and that helped me buy a fridge, a sofa, the whole lot. That was one of the biggest things. I was like, holy crap, this is a great country that helped at random, because I was a random back then. And even just the first thing I landed, and like, this lady was like, are you lost? Yeah, actually I am. They're the Griffith guys. And I'm like, by accident. If she wasn't there, or she wasn't willing to help, I would have been probably still in the airport sleeping.
Did you speak good English at that point?
Yeah. That's the biggest difference was for me and my peers, was the level of like how quickly you can integrate, how fast you can get a type of job, was the level of English. I've always spoke English since I was a kid.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I suppose that probably came into play when you were doing the competitive
correct. Yes.
sports and the esports as well.
Yeah. So correct, that everything was in English. When you compete locally, but mostly is online.
Yeah.
And I remember back then there was 2 types of connections. If you wanted to, if you went to the eastern part of the US, so those servers, you needed cable. So the internet was cable or what's the other one? Broadband. Yeah. So cable was good for the eastern, and broadband was western. So, but yeah, it was. I always helped my friend with it. Well, not help. I remember it was so good to be at. I'll actually, you know what? I do miss school. That's one thing that I do regret. It's not going back to school. School was awesome, man. Very few responsibilities. All you have to do is just show up and have a great day.
That was the cruisiest part of life.
Absolutely. And I did not knew. Like, I just had no idea how good I had it. For example, this is why I went back is, my mates used to, because it was an all boys school, they used to ask me, hey man, can you, when we're doing like English exams, I would just finish mine in like 10 minutes. And they're like, hey man, can you write mine? I'm like, yeah man. So we switch, and I would do it. And what I would do, I would crunch it in like a little bowl, and I'm like, okay, give me mine. So give me mine, and I just pass them that little bowl.
Nice.
That would be like trying to like iron their their exam.
Oh, wow.
So anyway,
Sneaky.
it was good fun back in being at an all boys school.
That's so funny. I didn't have that experience. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What came naturally to you when you were younger? Like, I know you said you did futsal and you did the gaming, but was there any skills that you just found really?
Yeah. Well, I think not hindsight, which is fantastic. Dealing with people was very easy to me. I didn't know that. I just kind of got into those situations where we had like a salsa band that kind of had to like, so every school would have like a band and then they would compete against each other. It was not salsa per se, but it's kind of like salsa.
Yeah.
And in December. And then I think I got into like singing because my mom wanted me to well, actually, I needed to do a whole bunch of activities because I had so much energy. One of them was singing. And then
Wow.
I know. And then I wanted to sing at the salsa band when I did it when I was really young. So usually the ones who are at the probably last year will perform. Most of them will be in the band because obviously they have more skills and stuff. But I did it like I think it was like 4 years before that. And then I was just the first year, I was just nobody. I was just there. But then as I progressed and I was starting to organize it, and even though this is man, I would have been 16, 17. So I was involved always like in front of people. I remember one time where I sang before this huge band came after us, and it was in this mall. It would have been like 1,000 people. I was like this, and I'm like Jesus. But that helped me with public speaking. Now, it could be 1,000 people, maybe 100. I don't care. But yeah, I think that was probably a great time. I freaking love that. I missed it so bad. But it did help my current I guess job. I wanted to be a doctor too. Yeah, I love biology. I love like it was a lot of interest in that type, but as soon as I finished school, I'm like, nah, it's not gonna cut it. I was not ready. Mentally, I wasn't not ready to sit down and absorb knowledge. And even how you learn in Spanish is different than in English.
Oh.
So our cultures are, I call them, well, I don't call them, this is a scientific term, is high context or low context culture.
Okay.
In Australia, we're low context. If I need to describe the situation, is we're just talking on your podcast. That's about it. In Spanish, well, today is Thursday. It's like we start with we explain everything that Matt's there in the back. We started doing something different. And then no, we're now, because I don't necessarily think that you know the context. I explain it.
Wow.
So that culture, and it's ridiculously difficult when you're learning, because the learning component don't assume that you know the context.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So even just, there are less acronyms. So in Australia, how many acronyms we have, man? 1,000. Like, and like I was telling you before. So that for me it was harder for me to study in Spanish than it was in English. That's when I went to uni here. I was like, man, this is great. It's easy. It's actually easy.
Yeah.
It was very easy.
What did you study when you moved?
I did international business and majoring in finance. And it was, at the beginning, I was like, holy crap, this obviously it's different language, but I thought it was so easy. It was so, because it was just, I could just, I don't know. Well, I think what uni teaches is how to research.
Yep.
Right? I would remember maybe 30% of what I learned at uni max, and that's an exaggeration, but it's how to research, how to cite, how to.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's, and then I went to QT after that. I did a postgraduate in accounting so I can stay in Australia. So,
oh, good. Yeah.
So I'm glad I did it, even though back then I'm like, crap, I need to study again. I need to spend, it was $3,000 a subject up front. It was tough, man.
How'd you make it all work?
I had three jobs.
What were you doing?
I was a bartender. I worked with kids, and I was a waiter.
Wow.
And obviously, I shouldn't have done that, but because you technically have to just work 20 hours. I would have worked obviously more than that. But as long as you pass, who cares?
Yeah.
But the limits in Australia is if you're a student, while you're studying, you can only work 20 hours. Like, man, I can't afford university on 20 hours.
Wow.
I sold everything I had back home, everything. My mom helped too.
Wow.
But it was rough.
What a journey, man.
yeah, it was good. It taught me organizational skills, time management. It was
3 jobs in uni.
yeah. I hated my weekends, man. It was horrible. It was that was one of the lowest points. My weekend would start on I don't know, 2:00. Went to the bar, started until 1 or 2 a.m. and then go to bed, wake up at 7 or 8 to go work with kids, then have lunch, and then again 2 p.m. to 1 to 3, like that for repeat on Sunday. And I did all my work within that weekend. And then during the week, I would just I would put hours that I needed to study. So I needed to study this, and this. And it was all colored. Still today, my calendar's color coded.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what. That's awesome. Yeah, it was all about efficiencies. Like I cannot miss that hour that I need to study for that subject. And that's what I think it helped me into today's career. But it was tough, man. And the waiter was, I would say yes or no if they asked me. So there would have been, I don't know, imagine Melbourne Cup Day. The restaurants wouldn't have enough staff to do an event. They will ask this company to fulfill the overflow, and then I would be like, yeah, okay, I can do it, or no, I can't do it. So yeah, that was nuts, man.
What a journey.
Yeah, man, it paid off. I'm good with kids.
But you don't give financial advice.
No, not to children.
No. So how did you end up deciding to pursue really fully this financial planning path?
By accident, man. It was obviously finished QT. I worked at UQ for 6 months for free, just so I can get a piece of paper that said he can work. I didn't have a reference, man. There was no reference. I never worked in Australia other than in a bar. So it was back then was extremely difficult to find a job. Yeah, wow. If you put a graduate job and you put I'm not a resident, from 100 we'll go to 1. So you go, obviously all of us were trying to compete for one. Impossible. And it was KPMG. I remember like it was yesterday. Good on them. Like they were at least giving some hope back then, someone like us.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, no, this cannot be it. So I was in between getting my visa, and I said, okay, well, I'll work for free, still at the bar, and get that letter so I worked for an accounting firm first, and they gave me my first shot, which is fantastic. I did 2 years there, and then I'm like, look, this is not for me. Accounting is not. It was great. I got a lot of knowledge out of it, but I'm like, this is not. I don't feel it. So I went, so I don't lose my, what I've studied, what I have. I put financial on Seek. I swear to God.
Wow.
I put financial.
Okay.
And there were hundreds of jobs, financial advisor. And I'm like, okay, great. What is this? And I looked into it. Okay, financial advisors does this, and this. Okay, how do I get there? Reddit told me. It did not exist. There was not, and this is why I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help my profession because it's still not really. Right now, it's much better than back then, but back then it was Reddit. Well, you have to do this for a few years, and you have to do this, and then you turn out to do, to be a financial advisor. So you start obviously I didn't have to start at the lowest bit because I already had experience and at least, law, tax law, and, economics concepts, and even just I've done portfolio building at uni, like the whole lot. I at least had it. So I started as a power planner / strategist. With power planner is like your paralegal, which is someone that is almost like the lawyer, but you can't really go to the court and say anything.
Yeah.
The same deal. Power planner is someone who's in the background, builds all the strategy and does all the work, but you can't talk to the person because you're not registered. So then once I did 2 years out of that, man, that was such another crappy job, dude. Man, for anyone listening, if you ever had a very crappy boss, I feel you, man. I feel this was the worst. Well, good. That was the person who said I need an SOA tomorrow. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, great. I'll give it 2. Because he didn't even consider training me. He's like, nah, you'll do it on your own.
Got it. Oh, wow.
Clearly I could, but it's not the right, man. For me, yes, because I can do it, but not for everyone, man. Like it took, especially mitigating errors and not considering how much I know or what I don't know. But I remember, this is the 2 things I will never forget. And this is where I told you, sometimes you need cojones to grow in your life. One time, even at my interview, I said, hey man, I got 2 trips coming, 2 weddings. Just remember that I'm going to need plenty of leave. I might not accrue and I might enter in negative leave. Is that okay with you? If not, I'm happy to do unpaid leave, but just make sure, because I need it. My best friend was getting married in Panama and my other best friend in Greece. So I needed the time and to visit my family. And he's like, don't worry, man. I got your back. All right. Went to Greece, did the whole thing. Fantastic. That was my first one. Next one, went to Panama, looked good. And from Panama to Miami, which is where my family lives, I landed in Miami. I still got the message. I have it on WhatsApp. I would never delete it because it reminds me of how crap of a life I had back then. He's like, dude, I just went with my, I had a chat with the accountant and it's too much negative leave. I can't pay you for the next 2 weeks. It's like, what do you mean, man? I was about to buy a home. Every cent was just meticulously planned. If you would have told me this 2 years ago, I'd be like, fantastic. I planned for it. I saved a little bit more. It was right in the middle of my trip. And I'm like, this is crap. I'm like, okay, man, don't worry. I'll come back and we'll have a chat. Okay, great. Came back to Australia. I said to him, man, if you don't raise my salary by 15,000, I'm walking out. Because it's a lot of risk that you can tell me tomorrow I don't have a job. And if the risk means reward, I need that. Because you just told me back then that you can't pay me for the next 2 weeks without there was no explanation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, nah, it's not gonna happen. So he literally said, yeah, man, okay. Like I got a raise right there and there. And I actually told him you did the math wrong because I had an extra leave day here and there because I did the math. I'm like, that's wrong. You owe me a day and now either you want me here or I'm leaving right now. Why would I want that? Because I got a $15,000. That was a lot for me. That was like 30% increase in my salary.
Yeah, wow.
But it was mostly because it was right on the 6 months before I was going to apply for a loan for my first home. So I'm like, if he says no, then I get a job really quickly. And then because I already signed it, my job, like I bought it off the plan. So everything was done. I had pre-approvals, but you need a job for 6 months before the bank says, yeah, you're good for it. So he didn't blink. He was like, okay, yeah, man, no, I need you here. Okay, great. Give me a $15,000 increase. Fantastic. Because I was like, this is crap. I felt so terrible. I'm like, you're still worse. I remember he used to refund me if I would pass. I needed to do more study, so I did it. And if I pass the subject, he will reimburse me. And back then I had an Amex, so I can get points and stuff. And so I paid with the Amex. It would have been like, I don't know, I think I remember it's like $10 fee. And he's like, here's your money back minus the $10 because I don't believe in Amex. Man, the damage you do to your employee for doing something as stupid as just don't pay them $10. It's just, anyway, that's my story with that dude. And as soon as I started my job, I left, literally on the day. I walked into my house and I had another job already lined up with one of the biggest super fund and like, goodbye, man.
Wow.
Thanks for helping me out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was, but I couldn't do anything, man. I was stuck. I didn't have family here. I don't have a backup plan. It's not like, hey, mom, I need a bit more money to hit a deposit. No, I have to send money back, which is the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you've obviously pushed through that.
Yeah. It was good. Life teaches you a lot of lessons. Balls have cojones, man. I remember it was such a big decision. I'm like, nah, he's going to either you increase my salary because of the amount of risk I'm taking for working here or, yeah, walk out.
Well, good on you for pushing through that. And obviously now you're running your own firm.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah.
How did you get to this point? Like, what was like the thought process behind starting your own?
Well, once I started the super fund, I didn't know this, but by accident, I joined an association called the Financial Planning Association of Australia. And you can search anyone who's registered there by if they know a language. So you go, I need someone who speaks Spanish, boom. And the only face who appeared was like, hey, man, it was just me. So people started reaching out, hey, can you please help me? I'm like, look, I can't, unless you're a member of this super fund, I cannot give you advice because I'm limited. Yeah. This is the problem with financial advice in Australia, that you are binded by whatever your license tells you. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, effectively I'm like stuck here. So I started giving classes for free to my community. It was because one time these two Venezuelan guys died. And I remember I was talking to this lady in front of me. At the time we realized that, and she's like, oh, I need to send money to my mom because she needs to buy a battery. I'm like, what do you mean? what? A battery? Yeah, because the car battery. I'm like, what? Oh yeah, because they can't find it and they need the money, and if she can't get the battery, they can't go to work and they can't eat. And I was like, but what happens if you die? I'm like, well, I don't know. Do you know you have super? Yeah. Well, do you know there might be some insurance that might help them? No, I didn't know that. Do your parents know what super is? No. I'm like, crap. Okay, well, I started giving classes to the community for them to understand the system, to tell their parents if they ever die.
Huge.
That, yeah, just to try and maybe give back something. And then that's when it clicked. I'm like, yeah, man, I need to do this, but in a more, like it made sense to me. Like there is a void in this community, not just from the Spanish speaking community, but like just as a foreigner, like thinking even just outside the language barrier, it is like, man, you just got here, or you never, your family doesn't live here. At some point you got to bring your mom and your dad and go, there's this amount of strategies we can do to save you money as a business owner. Like, oh, great, fantastic. So I thought, yeah, this makes sense. I love it, by the way. I'm very engaged, and it was not really a job if I can see it. So I'm like, how do I get from point A to Z? One, I had to, Superphone was not going to work. Okay, so then it took me like a year, man, to find anyone who was willing to get me on board for me to buy in. So I'm like, okay, I need something to like, they give me a chance to be an owner to an extent. I'm like, great. So yeah, within a year I had like 6 offers, but I said no to all of them because nobody would give me nah, you can't, you have to be an employee. I'm like, oh, man, but I really don't want to be an employee. I want to own my stuff so I can, and this is what I started Marin Wealth was because I want to operate in a way that I feel what is to be an employee. Like, man, I want to work 4 days a week. If you need holidays, go for it, man. I don't care. As long as the job is done, I don't care where you do it. Because it's all about considering that there's more than the job. If you're about to die, I always tell this to people, like, if you're about to die, if you're shutting your eyes, you're about to die, pretty much that's it. This is it. Your last breath, and you go, wake up, and what would you do now if you know you can do it again? Like, I would do it differently. I'm like, I would just do everything to the nth degree. I just don't have time because therefore you now consider, well, life is very fragile. I might die right now. Even speaking to you, I have an aneurysm and I'm gone. So I'm like, I need that. I need to grow, and I want to create a legacy, because when I die, I want to create something outside my lifetime. So if I create something that grows and it's on top of a building, and go, man, that's helping a community that it wasn't when I landed here. I'm like, great, I can die happy. It was like, there's my name, fantastic. You guys take care of our community. I've done as much as I can. Great. So like that kind of started as I got more into this. There's very few of us. I'm like, crap. Everyone needs advice. Crap. How can I get there? And it's unfortunately with my profession, we were 30,000 4 years ago. Now we're 15,000 because they put some. So correct. And it was mostly because we're trying to get rid of the crap. Yeah. Putting educational requirements to a degree that if you're talking to someone, he's probably the best of the best out there. Now there's
sure. So whoever's left at the moment is qualified appropriately.
Bingo. Yeah. So obviously the average advisor right now is 50 years old.
Yeah, wow.
And male. And so it's difficult, but and there's not many new entrants. So for me, that's when I'm like, look, I want to grow my business from the ground up. So I want people that are young. So my clients have kids. Who's going to take care of them? If my client dies, that wealth goes directed to them. What's going to happen? So I want to create something that I'm looking at 40, 50, 100 years. I know it starts from somewhere. This is where we're starting.
Amazing. How's it going so far?
Oh, sick, man. It's pretty sick. It's like creating a baby, man. It's like previously it was obviously my own business, but I was trading under a different name. And therefore I was very restricted on how much I can share, what I can do, even just like just the event or anything. Now, let me just talk to the board. Hey, board.
The board.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
the board is that face.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, yeah. So let's do this, man. Yeah. Let's just engage. like get out there. Like just that gets me going so much, man. Like creating. I always think outside the box. Like if anyone's doing it, I don't want that. Like I'm usually like, if everyone's going that way, like, nah, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm like, nah, I don't want that. I hate being like the follower. I hate being like, oh, this is a trend. Like, yeah, I can see the trend, but why is that person doing it differently? Like, why is like, so I picked stuff from like other industries that I feel they're doing amazing. Yeah. Like I know, for example, I know the real estate industry is being battered. Obviously, it's difficult, but they're great communicators. They're amazing at just explain. And I love them. Like, I wish I can get more of that.
Yeah.
And that's what I pick from that. I pick from obviously others. Like, what do you do that makes you the best? It's not because I want to be in that industry, so I want to bring that to my industry.
Love that.
So even just being efficient, like technologies, so I can work, not me, everyone around me, 4 days. I think 4 days is probably the next big thing.
Yeah, well, I can't wait till we get there eventually.
Yeah.
But no, I respect the attitude there of learning, because that's how I typically approach is what is someone doing best in any industry. You can learn from anyone.
Bingo. Yeah. It's very transferable. If you start with, I guess that's also in my mind, nothing is impossible. Nothing. Everything can be done. Everything. If you start from there, it's easier. If you believe it, like you genuinely have to believe it. Like, because if I would have said, I'm going to live on the other side of the world and I need 3 planes and all that, and obviously I would have stopped there and it's just too difficult. I'm like, no, what are my choices? This, and this. This is the best because of X, Y, Z. Great. Fantastic. Don't think of the rest. Yes, I got to be in 3 planes, but that's part of the process. But I think believing is what we're lacking off a lot. Believing that you can do it. How can you get there? Each step you think, you're like, I'm here. Who's doing the best? Pick, bring it together, and don't do what everyone else is doing. Just don't do that. Like that's the worst you can do.
Yeah, you get the same results or
Bingo.
Worse.
Yeah,
You're just a lesser version of what someone else is doing.
Oh yeah, and even just like if you look at like even just disruptive technologies, or when I look at investing, you cannot crypto. If you get in the bandwagon of everyone's doing it, it's too late.
Yeah.
Way too late. You will get, obviously, as part of being, the first of doing things, sometimes you'll screw stuff, but that's part of the learning. Learn how you screw it so you don't do it again. And then you choose what to learn from it. So it makes you better and better. Like your example, man, you're like, well, I gave this a crack. You gave engineering a crack. You learn from it. You won't be an engineer.
Yeah.
So that's part of it.
Yeah. So at the moment, what do you think you find in what you're doing today is like your flow zone? Like what I mean by that is, what could you be doing and just hours could fly by because you're just loving what you're doing now?
Oh man, I love reading. I love absorbing knowledge. It's like my mantra. Like I thrive on knowledge, and I realize knowledge is power. Like knowledge, understanding something, especially because my industry is so complex. And I think that's my feedback I've always received is, you can explain it pretty simple, Pedro. Like it's easier for me to understand what you're saying. But in order for you to get that, it's just you have to just like demolish knowledge. Like right now we're bombarded with a lot of noise. Like I struggle. I put limits on my apps, and even though I still like no, but it's just so much garbage out there. So much like data right now is obviously the next commodity. Data meaning just content, just anything. But I need to, like, if I just sit down and just read something like funky, like, yeah, man, I didn't know that, like those fun facts I give you, like the steam, like this stuff I read, and it just goes back here. Like, great. Yeah. I just love reading, and it doesn't have to be actual books, but just reading, like understanding and very curious. I'm always curious. So I think I thrive on that, and teaching. I think my job is first as a teacher. Everyone think that the advisor, some financial advisor, is like, oh yeah, he's going to fix my finances. But first, you have to teach them knowledge. The difference in between, I think we have a couple of hats. One of them is we're a manager of your feelings. Like you feeling is like just stress or scared. Relax. This is part of the deal. I told you a while ago. Oh yeah. Or even I tell people, I'm teaching you here what could happen with your money if something happens. It is going to happen. I usually guarantee only one thing, is that your money will go down at some point. Up, I don't know. I have no idea. And if we start with the bar so low, the rest is a bonus. So I'm like, okay, great, yeah. So when it happens, like last year in June, there was there was a big correction in share prices because interest rates started to go up. I didn't get a single phone call. Like, oh, my money's going down or anything. I was calling people like, hey man, just remember this was going to happen. Just if you have cash, let me know, because if you continue to go, this is a good opportunity. And, okay, great.
Yeah.
So teaching probably is when I flow, like just explain. I can see, I thrive when I can see like the body language of someone just going like this. I don't know what's going on, to like, yeah, man, I know exactly what's happening. I'm about to I get so excited. I'm like, great, yeah. So I think that's what I thrive. Knowledge and teaching is what I feel the best, man. It's a great experience.
That's awesome. Do you think that young Pedro would look at you now and be proud?
Yeah, man. This is such a crazy ride. It's such a crazy ride. If I would have said to myself, not just the country, but just sitting here in front of you talking, doing this, there's no way. Like, this is impossible for me to figure out what I was going to do in the future. But I would say, yeah, man, it's young Pedro will be proud, even though young Pedro was I was such a rebel, man. it was just, I just wasn't, I think it must be age. Like when you're so young, you don't think much more than, man, what it's in front of you. Like you're like, I just did uni because I had to, like not because I could consider more than that. It was like, nah, I do uni. Yeah. I'll play sports because I loved sports back then, and being fit and, going out and just being fun altogether, but nothing more than that. So if I look back, I'm like, holy crap, I'm so different. I go to bed early. I drink wine. What the hell? Like, I didn't drink wine. I eat olives. I hated olives, man. That's disgusting.
I don't like olives.
Yeah, well, they'll grow on you. I know that as soon as you get old, you get gray hairs. Olives like, yeah, this is great. Yeah.
So I already have some gray hair, so I'm in trouble.
I cut my hair short. You can't see it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And so I guess, as we're getting to the end of this chat today, what would be some of the advice that you've received that you think is worth passing on, that you've implemented?
Yeah, I think there's two or three. I think the first one, I heard one. I'm trying to translate because it was in Spanish.
Okay.
The roots of knowledge are bitter, but its fruit, it's sweet. So when you're starting, it's really bitter. But when you're already grown, it's so sweet, man. So that was one of them. Like, holy crap, yeah, you're right. Just grinding it. Once you're done, you can reap the benefits. It's insane. That was the first one. And the second one, probably it's more my own mantra. We all stress about the past or the future, never right now. And do everything you can right now, like you don't have tomorrow or right the next second. Like, think like there's no tomorrow. So what would you do? Because that's how I lived, man. There's more than once I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm going, like, this is it. So everything I do is like, enjoy like what you're doing. Don't just like, I'm doing it because it's paying my bills. You can pay your bills 1,000 ways, man. Do it because you enjoy it. It's difficult. I guess sometimes I've asked people like, what do you enjoy? Because I've had this question before. How can, what would you change about me? I'm like, well, what do you enjoy? Like, because I've had people have those midlife crises where this is not the job I want. Okay, great. Let's figure it out. This is how I figure it out, but might not be the right way. But then I ask, what do you enjoy? And they can't even answer that own question. So figuring out what you enjoy, probably for some is difficult. For others, is like, yeah, I enjoy shopping and stuff like that. Come on, just go deeper than that. Like, just go. Maybe you can enjoy shopping. Well, what's the aspect of shopping? The feeling, the picking the right item. So maybe there's something there. You just have to. People see what it's right in front of them. Like there's usually more meaning to what you do, your actions, your likes, your preferences. And if you deal like just think more about if imagine if it's indeed shopping. I love shopping. Great. Ask more about it. Never stop the question. Keep asking yourself, well, why? Oh, well, because of that. Yeah, but why? And then just always at the why until you there's nothing else. Even if there's nothing else, give it another day and ask why again. And you probably go down to the root of what you like about that.
That's a great response. That's what I tell people as well. It's like an onion. You just keep unpeeling with the question why, and just ask the next why, and you'll eventually figure it out.
Yeah. And then the question, I remember I've always had this to every job I've done. If the answer to the question is because it's always been like that, wrong.
Yep.
Wrong.
So good.
You cannot. The answer cannot be, oh, it's because it's always been like that. What?
Yeah, you can choose.
Yeah. Like, don't like, is it just being lazy, or if it's just like not uninterested, or you're in the wrong space? If that's the answer to you, to a single question, you're in the wrong space. Like, immediately you should just look somewhere else.
Yeah. Gold, man. Gold. Hey, I wanted to ask you this question. I sometimes will ask a guest will be, if you had unlimited time and money right now, what would you do?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think probably what I'm doing right now, cool. But for free.
Cool.
Yeah, literally. I love, I guess it's more the kick, and I tell this to others, is I get the kick out of the benefit towards a like a person. The money follows. Yeah, the money, you get remunerated because there's not many of us, but I do it because I can see the impact in someone's family. Like, I can see the impact. I got this lady, I'm not going to be too specific, but she was a shell of a human when I started because of her situation. There was a lot, not just trauma, but there was a traumatic, massive event that happened to her. We helped her, and she was a shell. And then the first time I saw her smile is when we started a charity for her, because she just basically had, we had funds to do that. Yeah. And I was like, this is sick, man. This is so much pride of what I did. I'm like, this is fantastic. We got this shell of a human into now what she thrives in society. And it was solely because of, it started because of our job. So I'm like, yeah, if I had unlimited funds, I would just do the exact same just for free.
That's awesome.
I would be in the exact same role. I get bored at home too. I can't.
You're not going to go back to playing Counter-Strike professionally?
Well, maybe on the weekends too. But even though that train sailed, man, that ship has sailed. My reflexes are now off. Like, we used to train, man. It was train. Like, we got a map, and like, at minute 3, you throw this grenade here, and it was like a real life scenario where we're just going in like cops or terrorists.
But now you're just using that same skill set, but you're doing it on the golf course.
Bingo. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. My golf course was like, my objective was to be single digit handicap.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Yeah. What are you now?
16.
Oh.
I used to be 24 last year, so I dropped 8 shots in a year.
So 8 next year.
I'm hoping, yeah.
And then scratch.
Scratch means I'm retired.
That means you're full-time playing golf.
Correct. I got nothing else on the horizon other than play golf every single day, but you never know. You never know.
You might get really, really good at it. Take it to the nth degree.
Don't techniques. You know, I told you, I get really intense. I just hyper focus on something, so I might get scratched.
You've done some stuff as well that I've seen, like the dancing CEOs, and you're just doing all sorts of things that I guess you just put your mind to. And
yeah. Oh, actually, if that's another what do you call it? Like advice for anyone would be, man, I always say yes. Always say yes. I know sometimes you should say no. I get it. And some people don't say yes all the time. But yes put you somewhere. No might put you somewhere. But yes, I said yes at that dancing CEOs. I was supporting someone the year before. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then this lady next to me was like, oh, you should do it. Yeah, of course I'll do it. Latin, of course I'll do it. Within 5 minutes, this lady with a whole is set up and like, is this the guy? Yeah. Holy crap. I said yes to something. I thought, yeah, in a million years, I'm going to be up there. This the guy? Yeah, okay, you're in. Holy crap. But then if I would have done that, I wouldn't have met you. I would have, like, literally, this is exactly how we met.
Yes.
So I said, it's just, life is 1,000, more than that, probably 1 million decisions a day. 1 million. Will you wake up? Which side you going to wake up? Do you want to wake up? There's 1 million decisions we do every day, and people consider that for granted. Like this, I feel that I've always said yes, and it has put me right here. Because I say yes to that, I met you and we're doing this. I could have said no. I'm like, no, this is too scary. I don't like it. Like, stuff it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have believed you if you said it was too scary.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, as long as you're not dead, like the rest, no one cares. No one cares.
Well, dude, before we close up, we don't know who's going to be on the next podcast, but if you had to ask them a question, what would you ask them?
Man, that's a great. I love this. I love that you can harass the next person.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll be asking them if there's such an. I'm trying to be gentle.
Don't ask them the golf handicap.
Yeah. If let me see. Do they enjoy what they're doing with their professional life right now? If yes, what's the biggest thing that can do? Like, what's the limit? That's it. Like, if trying to rephrase it is, do you like what you're doing professionally? What's the end? Like, imagine money and time is not existent. Like, you can do anything. What is the end? That's it. Not even telling you to do it. Most people don't visualize it.
Absolutely.
Because I've had, this is probably what put me here was I visualize it. I'm like, what's the end if I start in financial planning, owning your own business, having a building to your name, creating, maybe monopolizing Australia's system? Like, that's the end. Like, then the world, then having the US, like, there's no stop. You can just think. Then we go to Mars if we ever live there. Yeah. You could. Anyway, that's the question. Hopefully,
that is awesome. Thanks so much, Pedro.
It's all right, man. This is cool.
And maybe you'll show us some of your golf tips one day.
I will. Oh, well, our next video.
Yes, that's literally the next video will be golf one.
That's cool. We'll see what we can do.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Oh, good, man. This is fantastic.